All right, we are live and we're going to be talking about all things pay-per-click advertising so that you can scale your business. I am Kevin Sanderson. I am the marketing and partnerships guy at My Amazon Guy. I personally have spent more money on PPC in my own campaigns as an Amazon seller than I have spent on my house. And I know that for some people might not be a huge number, but I've spent a lot. I've had wins, losses, and everywhere in between with pay-per-click advertising, and I've gotten to see a lot of awesome things along the way. So we're here to answer your questions, but I also want to just throw something out there. So with this, we are going to be rewarding participation. So I know that sometimes there's this whole thing about we don't want to reward participation because I don't know. Sometimes we make fun of participation trophies here in the United States, but here we will be rewarding participation. So a couple of things. I would like to know how are your PPC campaigns going right now? So we came out of the holiday season. We're kind of coming out of that post-holiday season. People are spending their Amazon gift cards in the first 2/3 of January, I tend to find. Now we're at a point, it's getting more business as usual. How is how are things going for you? So drop a comment in the chat and let me know how things are going, or you can just put it in an emoji. And if you do drop in an emoji, make it just for make it creative. The more creative you are, the better. So a couple people sharing a couple of things here. So Med Osama Benriguia, sorry if I mispronounced that. It's pretty meh, ACOS higher than usual. Sorry to hear that. We'll see what we can do to help you along the way. Spending more in PPC than sales. Yikes. That is not a good thing. So side note, depending on where you see me pointing, it appears that in the corner, we've got a little graphic that appears every so often. If you see that, we do have our PPC guide, which is a free download. You can grab that. You can either, if you see that QR code, you can scan the QR code, or I believe we have a link to it down below. And then we have Mikhail, which if you download the PPC guide, it's going to give you a lot of our best tips for scaling your PPC, as well as improving your Oh, there it was. Went very quickly. I don't know how to turn that off. So that'll be there. So sorry if that's distracting folks. But it's definitely worth downloading, especially if you like having better results from your PPC. Mikhail Khan says, I always say emojis and then I can never read the emojis because it's very small on my screen. And as I get to be a little older along the way. Oh, okay. So it's kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of thing. So that sounds like a good thing there, Mikhail. So excited to see that. That seems like things must be going kind of at least good for you. And then, all right. So we've got some other questions starting to come in. All right. So a couple things here. Let's get to some of the questions. Oh, for those of you who responded to my inquiry about how are things going for you, Mikhail, Chris G1548, and Med Osama, the three of you, since you responded to my specific, someone else did too. Mark, Francis, Crappy, it sucks. Yellow popcorn striped smile, or popcorn yellow striped smile, watching it tank. Oh, like you're watching it. Okay. And then we also have Michael Khan also said ACOS is high in some keywords. So for those of you who responded there with my specific inquiry about how are your campaigns going, email podcast@myamazonguy.com and I'll get you the free PPC course on Mag School. So it's $100 value. Yours free because, like I said, we are going to reward participation. So I will not be rewarding everyone's participation, but I will be rewarding some participations along the way. So Mark is the first person, which he's apparently an account admin. Must be maybe how your Google name comes up. Can you shred my product page, please. Angry Baba hot sauce. All right, so we will take a look at Angry Baba hot sauce. All right, so let me share my screen here real quick. Oh, I gotta hit that little button. Sorry, folks. So some people might be saying, but this is a PPC AMA. Well, the better your listing is, the better your results will be. So we will take a look here together at Mark Francis's result or listing. So Angry Baba hot sauce. All right. Oh, so it's this one right here real quick. Okay. So Carolina Reaper and habanero hot sauce by Angry Baba. Sweet and spicy sauce, best wings sauce. So it does cut off here. That's one of the things, is that sometimes we try to squeeze in a lot of keywords, which I'm guilty of. Oh, and today is which I haven't looked at my own account yet. I believe today's the day that the new requirements for paid or for product titles go into play. All right, so Angry Baba, looking at this, so you have two, so that's good. So you're telling people it's a 2-pack. It's spicy hot sauce, Carolina Reaper and habanero hot sauce. And now the one thing I would say, I like that you have the packaging here to kind of get something across, although I can't tell what that says. Maybe it's because as I get into the higher ranges of my 40s, to date myself here. But even with that, and I'm not on a small screen. So you got to think people with worse vision than me are going to be looking on their phones a lot of the times. I can't see what the words say. I think it's spicy hot sauce made with Carolina something. Is that something that draws people to it? So I would say you might want to find what are the main keywords? Like, can you slap a main keyword on the side of the packaging there? And then maybe even put the packaging either on its side or up above. Notice how they have some fruit. So if there's some sort of fruit flavoring in yours, you could add like a habanero pepper, like in the background. I would maybe do that to kind of at least draw the eye. And then looking at your competition, like see here, they've got the pepper on the side. They've got nice packaging, although there's some good real estate there. Like I like how the packaging takes up a lot of space here because that becomes almost a billboard for you. These people have a lot more of the ingredients. I would add the ingredients. All right, so now let's look at the listing itself. All right. Looking at this. Oh, so I'm assuming, maybe this is because I'm not logged in, but I don't see Prime here. Is this Prime? Because it looks like it ships from you, not from Amazon. You may want it to ship from Amazon. I know that that's a pain point. And Steven's even put together a video talking about his experience sending things in. But part of the issue was he just had trusted Amazon to do the prep that he paid them to do, which they did not do. So I would look into a way, how can you send it into Amazon and have fewer broken bottles? And I know that's probably a concern if this is glass. I'm assuming this is glass. All right. So 2-pack, 4 ounces total. That's kind of small, 4 ounces, which that's not necessarily a selling point that it's 4 ounces. Now, one question I do have is why is this one yellow and this one is red? So if I'm the customer, like, are these different flavors? I might wonder that. This is fine. Gluten-free, vegan, spicy. I would add a little bit more of like how things are done with your product, like how you put it together. Maybe show like it in use, like a lifestyle photo of like somebody pouring the sauce onto their burger or, whatever they put it on. Maybe a photo of like the ingredients being put together. Like here, that's pretty good, but I would show the sauce more on the pizza, on the wings, on the eggs. This text is very small. I would take the text. I would maybe just have some bullet points on this image and have crawlable text. One of the things you're missing here is you don't have a lot of crawlable text or any in your A+ content. So there's debates as to, with Rufus now and some of Amazon's AIs, how much are they actually going in and reading the images? But I would assume for now they're not. And they might be, but just assume they're not reading the images. So you want to ask yourself, how can I make it easier on the bots to read the text? And the easiest way is just give it text. And so I would add text up here, maybe in between these images. And you could almost say like everything you're saying, just say it in text. Like it doesn't have to all be in the image itself. And then one question I do have here, and I probably should have had a tool to help me figure this out on the fly, but do you have your alt text? So you can add up to 100 characters in your alt text of each image. So if you have 1, 2, 3, you definitely need more images. Assuming this is just one image, you need more images here for your A+ content, but I would use the 100 characters of your alt text and put that in the background, basically. So when you go into the A+ content module, when you upload the picture, you can add in alt text. I would make sure to add in alt text because that's going to help you with the keywords. I would be curious what the main keywords are that people are looking for. Like I would say hot sauce might be more important at the front. Hot sauce, Carolina Reaper, and habanero, maybe more at the front. Test that out. Besides hot sauce, what are your other important keywords? So let me look and see if you answered some of my follow-up questions here. Oh, it says here that you're doing FBM. You're working on it. I would definitely do FBA. That's going to help it. Because remember, Amazon wants to control the whole process. And so it's not like you're, printing the person's name like on the bottle. So there's not customization. So there's not really a lot of reason to have that FBM other than you're just starting out, which is fine. You could still have an FBM SKU as the backup in case your FBA runs out, but I would send in at least some product into Amazon, at least a case worth, to test it out. And then what else would I change on it? Oh, do you have bullet points? I don't see your bullet points. You definitely need to have bullet points. I would make them a mix of benefit driven while also incorporating a lot of keywords. The nice thing is you can use AI to help you with that. So you could get ideas from your competitors and have AI help you craft it in a way that's similar style, incorporating whatever keywords and then whatever, key features that you want to highlight in your bullet points. Those would be things that I would do. All right. So hopefully that helped. All right. So next up, let's get to some other questions. Thank you, Mark Francis, for your question and letting me shred your listing, which hopefully that was helpful. Zanab Akram says, if you have 2 variations, should you run a campaign and both variations or just one? It kind of depends. One philosophy that I've seen a lot of people do that I think makes a lot of sense is whatever your top seller is, make that be your primary one. So if you have, let's say, red and black, and maybe black gets a lot of the sales and red doesn't get quite as much. I'm just making that up. Send everything to the black one, and then red might have whatever keywords you're going after, just add the word red in front. So that it has its own campaign, which is only targeting, or not targeting, its only product ad is for the red variation. That's what I would consider putting in there. And then that way, your primary keywords, everything you're targeting that's more broad is going after your top seller. And then anything that's more laser focused on that particular variation of people that be looking for, let's say the red, then I would put them into their own campaign. I've also seen it, I've done this myself, where I just put everything into one campaign and then just start turning off what's not converting. That's probably not the best way to do it, but that's one way I've done it. Especially if you have something that doesn't have a lot of keyword volume, or sorry, a lot of search volume or a lot of sales. So it depends on the product and what kind of what the variables are. All right. Next up, Mikhail says, Kevin, how are you? Assad says, hello from Pakistan. So hello to both of you, and thank you for joining us. Jenny Jut. Hello. We have two variations. Should we run a campaign of both variations or just one? Oh, was that the same question that Zainab just asked? All right. I think I just answered that. It was probably someone else asking on the behalf. So hopefully that was that answered your question. All right. So I'm going to get to some more questions here, but one thing I just want to point out. So we're at 12:16 Eastern time. We'll be going until the top of the hour, until about 1 o'clock Eastern time. And the way this generally tends to work is it's very similar to when you're in school. And so if you remember, the professor says, or the teacher says, hey, does anyone have any questions? What does everyone do? They sit around and they stare at everyone else. Does anyone else have any questions? Then someone asks a question. Oh, that makes me think of my question. And then there gets to be this energy of people asking question after question after question. Then, because you didn't ask your question at the beginning, which has happened to me before, you get to the end of class and realize I never got to get to ask my question. So we will likely run out of time. So the best way to get your question answered is to ask it earlier. And that little, depending on where my finger's pointing relative to where you see it, it's probably this corner, which is not where I see it. But anyway, if that little thing pops up, we have our PPC guide, which you can download. Just scan that QR code. It's coming in pretty fast, so you may have to pause briefly and then come back and join us. But if you download our PPC guide, it's pretty comprehensive. It goes into a lot of the same strategies that our team works or uses, and that they do work for client accounts. And the nice thing is that is absolutely free. And so you can get our PPC guide, the same information that we're giving to our, there it went. So anyway, I think we're gonna have to change that animation because that's going a little too fast and it's hopefully not distracting. So anyway, back to questions. But download that PPC guide. You will be glad you did. All right. Shafiq Didar says, hey, dear, nice to have you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm running PPC campaigns that get clicks but don't convert into sales. That's not good. Could you share some tips to diagnose and optimize the issue? So it's one of two things. One, you're not targeting the right keywords. So one of the examples I like to give, and if you've watched me talk about this before, you've probably seen me mention this, but I'm just going to use the example of markers. So markers has a lot of search volume. It's a primary keyword. Now, if I'm selling a red dry erase marker, I will probably not sell a lot. Now, Amazon is trying to tell me that based on their research, because they're showing the top of page one and the number one paid spot, they're showing up. But organically, what shows up? Here's a dry erase marker. This is, permanent, like Sharpie type markers, crafting markers, some dry erase. Page one, when I do this example, more like school or crafting markers, laser engraver. that's, that's not what I was expecting to see. That's a fiber laser engraver. It uses a fiber optic laser source. I just know a little bit about lasers. I know a little about a lot, I guess you could say. And then scrolling down, there's not a lot that would be indicating the customers are looking for, and the customers, what they're looking for and what Amazon shows tend to align. Amazon's not showing, products just to show products. They're showing products because they want sales. So especially looking at the organic ones, there's not a lot of dry erase markers here. So that tells me when, like here's an organic dry erase marker. Most of the stuff that shows up is not dry erase marker. But if I literally search something more targeted, like red dry erase markers, you can see here that there's red dry erase markers. Now, if I take away the red, that's probably going to get more searches, but it won't be quite as relevant, but it's still more relevant than just markers. So you got to ask yourself, if you're getting clicks but no sales, is it just people clicking around because they're curious, or everything else on page one was kind of relevant but not really relevant? So is it one of these type of situations like with markers? So you just want to ask yourself, is there some keyword that I could be going after that's more relevant than what I'm going after? Because if you're getting clicks, you're at least in the ballpark and people are curious, and that's why they're clicking on it. But if they're not converting, they realize, oh, it does not serve my need. Or the other option is they click on it and they realize, oh, wait, I thought I was looking at a crafting marker, but these are dry erase markers. So to use the opposite example there, but it basically, if they look quickly and they either it's not what they thought it was, or they have the perception, which is even more important, that they look at it and it's not telling them, oh, this is the type of product I was looking for, they're going to bounce. It might be exactly what they're looking for, but they don't get it. So, you want to figure out why that is. And another thing you could do is, if you have reviews, look at your negative reviews to figure out like what are people complaining about. And that might also help you clue into how you can better improve your listing. And if you don't have a lot of reviews, look at products similar to yours and see that, and then incorporate that into your product listing. That should help you. So, all right, next up, we have RJ Pabs. Any advice to increase my price for feature offer at Amazon? Limit me from $99.99 and up. Amazon's not actually limiting you on the price. It's what they don't want is price gouging. And so, as we all have heard horror stories of people losing the featured offer, meaning they're no longer in the buy box. And so sometimes there's not even a buy box, and people would have to like search for like other offers, and no one's going to do that from a customer standpoint. So what you could do is, if you're looking to go up $99.99, just go up in small increments. Maybe go up $104.99, and then a few days later go up to $109.99. So whatever your target is, just slowly increase. Because if you slowly increase and hopefully get some sales with each increase, Amazon doesn't care. It's what they don't want to have happen is you go from $99.99 to $199.99. Because now all of a sudden you doubled your price or something like that, and they feel it's price gouging, and they don't want customers to be taken advantage of. So if you just gradually increase it, you should be fine. We tend to find that it's the case here. All right. Shafiq says, would it be okay to share my ASINs for you for a quick review? I'm struggling with PPC clicks and not converting into sales, and would love to get your insights on it. Sure. Let me know the ASIN. Be more than happy to take a look at it, time permitting. All right. Iqbal Athar says, I have an issue related to advertising. I'm selling Faraday pouch on Amazon that are signal blocker pouch for car keys. I was advertising they get sales smoothly, but suddenly Amazon not approve. That's a good question. So basically you have a product. There must be some sort of regulation. Amazon, let's take a look at this one just for fun. So you called it a Faraday pouch. I've never heard that term before in my life, but it might just be because I'm out of touch. But let's just take a look. So Faraday pouch, is that? Oh, okay. Okay, so it's a fairly common word. First, I thought maybe it was a brand name, but it must be those type of, like you said, block signals. Okay, got it. So basically, people don't try to steal the signal from a key fob and then steal your car, which, yikes, that would be terrible. So I could see how this would have value. So basically, you're saying that you have an issue that you're selling it, and the signal blocker for the car key I was advertising, and they get sales smoothly. But suddenly, Amazon not approved. Well, the good news is, as we see here, sponsored. Amazon does allow sponsored ads. So sometimes there are, so it's not like they're not allowing for that type of product. Couple things you could do. Download the bulk file. I forget what they call the column. But there's a column that tells you why the product is not eligible for paid advertising. And sometimes it's just as simple as you're out of stock. But other times it's going to show you like it's an adult product. Now, I'm assuming unless you have like naked pictures on the front, it's not an adult product. So sometimes it gets flagged as an adult product and it shouldn't be. You can put it in a seller support case and they can usually fix that. That's one that they usually tend to be pretty good at fixing. Excuse me, in my opinion. But the more I look down at this, I would say there's something going on with the listing itself that they're not allowing you, because there's plenty of other products that are. So maybe there was a word you used that got flagged. And sometimes Amazon will just suddenly just, do a sweep for a particular word. And it might not even be related to Faraday bags or Faraday pouches. So try to figure out what it is the reasoning. So I would download the bulk file or in bulk operations template in Amazon advertising console. And then I would also just take a look and see, why is it that it's not showing up? There has to be a reason. It says the product, due to his guideline that radiation device cannot be sold. Okay. So let's take a look at the number one product organically. Control F, Ray D. Whoops, if I can spell. So I'm not even completely spelling, and I no longer have. So if you have the word radiation in there, remove it. So you got to be careful of the claims you make. So if you say like it blocks radiation signals or something like that, remove it and make sure it's not in any pictures or anything that even hints at it, which I don't know that any of these necessarily do. Oh, yeah. So just make sure that the word radiation isn't in it. And maybe that's part of the value proposition that it blocks certain types of radiation, but apparently Amazon doesn't like that. So that's one of those. It's sometimes easier just to swim with the stream than to try to swim upstream. So I would just remove that word if you have that in there, because clearly a lot of other people are selling that type of product and they seem to be advertising. All right. Your voice is not clear. Sorry about that. I don't know what's causing my voice to not be clear. Let me just make sure I got the right microphone. Oh, I have my good microphone. So sorry about that. Folks, if you're also having trouble with my voice, let me know. It might be a little hoarse today. So sorry about that. All right. So sales drop. I open a case, but they're not helpful. Well, that tends to happen. I would try checking to see if you have any no fly words in your listing. Here's one thing you could do. You could take your listing, put it in the chat GPT, tell it, I'm going to give you another listing. Now tell me what words are in one listing that aren't in the other, and see if you have any that aren't in, like, let's say the top one. Now, if it's words like they don't have the word the, don't worry about it. But if you have words like radiation or radioactive, which hopefully that doesn't mess up this stream, I said those words, might be something you want to look into. So, all right. Mikhail Khan says, I already have PPC. Oh, I promised you something. Just email us. We'll hook you up, since you participated earlier. All right. Iqbal says, other sellers are advertising, but Amazon are not stopping him and my product. Oh, this is still the same issue. My product is helpful for customer, not harmful product. Yeah, totally get that. Sometimes the bots just run amok, and you just got to work with the bots and figure it out. All right. So just as a reminder here, folks, make sure to ask your questions. We will likely run out of time. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions regarding PPC, take a look at your listing, whatever the case is. We all want to learn together. Stephen would say it's not me versus you, it's all of us versus Amazon. So we want to try to figure out this Amazon thing together. So drop your questions into the chats, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. We're all over the place here. So depending on where you're watching us. And then every so often in the corner, I think for those of you watching, it might be my finger relative to this corner. My screen might be opposite of what you see. But anyway, or if it's this corner here, maybe it's that one. Anyway, you might see a little QR code pop through. That is our PPC guide. Download our PPC guide. It's absolutely free, chock full of some of our best information on. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, we need to fix that. It's too quick, and it's hard to react to. But anyway, let's see what else do we have. All right. So this strategy for FBA wholesale or private label. I mean, everything we're talking about here, theoretically, you can use in both, but they tend to be more applicable in private label when you are selling your own brand. Because if you're selling someone else's brand, sometimes you might be, in charge of certain portions of the listing, or maybe the brand themselves is overseeing the listing, or Amazon has attribution to the listing. So you might not be able to do a lot with wholesale. So most of what we're talking is really more for brands that are private labeled. All right. Mikhail Khan, already asked that question. All right. So, this was just following up with the question they asked earlier. All right. So then Umair Hayat says, I have a question, please. I would love to answer your question, but there's a catch. You do have to ask the question. So if I see it down later, I will get to it. That was something else. All right. Med says, I'm on merch on demand program selling apparel. A $1,900 shirt is $489 royalties and profit. Any general tips on ranking a new submitted shirts? I'm not as familiar. I know people that have done, Amazon merch. In fact, I interviewed a guy on this live stream about a year ago. I forget his name. He's kind of big in the merch space. But anyway, it used to be merch by Amazon, or maybe you're calling it merch on demand, whatever program they call it now. It's basically print on demand, Amazon version. And as you can imagine, it's a cool thing because you don't have to buy inventory. You just create the designs and upload it to Amazon, and then Amazon sells it, and then you get a royalty. Now, the challenge with that is other than needing like a Canva account or Photoshop, there's not much barrier to entry. So a lot of people do it, and it becomes very saturated in certain niches. So I don't have a lot of advice on ranking new submitted shirts, other than you got to go real niche and find things that like not everybody are necessarily going for, or get ahead of the trends. And so coming up would be Valentine's Day. So I would say, what can you do for Valentine's Day? But not like Happy Valentine's Day, but Happy Valentine's Day for dog moms or something like that. Like you got to go super niche. would be the direction I would suggest. And don't just look in the past of what's successful. Like, I'm sure if you were selling shirts in October this past year, regardless of if you're in the US, who you were voting for, it was probably a big deal, and you could get, ranked quickly for all kinds of election related things. Although they might frown on that. I had a friend of mine who was doing merch by Amazon a few years back, and I think he had something, he was selling like 500 units a day, and it was like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was like, it was like vote or something like that. And it was like, what wasn't political, but it was related to the election, which is on people's consciousness at the time. And he was making a killing. But that doesn't last forever. And then other people start copying it and stuff like that. So you can do well with it, but it's harder, and you're going to be hustling to find new designs. So that would be my thought to you. All right. So Yehuda Harris says, do you think I need to change the listing for Rufus? So this is a controversial topic. Here at My Amazon Guy, officially, our take, which Stephen posted about relatively recently, maybe like a week ago, or no, it wasn't a post. He was commenting, was on someone else's that posted about, here's all the things you need to do for Rufus. As far as we know, Rufus has not really been a game changer yet, in the sense that like Amazon hasn't like completely rewritten the algorithm. Like, you would hear everyone talk about like, oh my God, I was at the top of page 1 and suddenly I'm at the bottom of page 7. You would hear about all kinds of like, changes if suddenly Rufus was controlling the algorithm. It might have like a little influence, and it might have a growing influence over time. I would make sure that you have good images that, convey your product list, or your whatever information you want to get across about your product. Maybe that there's some keywords in it, there's some key product features in it, things that help the algorithm better understand your product. But I wouldn't go all in on rewriting all your listings and doing everything based on Rufus, because there's not enough what's the word I'm looking for? There's not enough case studies out there of people that I did this and I did nothing else, and other than change images, and then I ranked higher because Rufus read it. So or the algorithm is going to read what they're going to read. So just make sure you've got a good, well-written listing with good images, and I think you'll be fine. That's our stance here at My Amazon Guy. I know this is getting to be a controversial topic out there, but only time will tell. All right. So if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. Osama Sheikh says, can you check my brand name, Red World? All right. So let's take a look at this. Red World. Looks like it's football gloves. All right. So let's take a look. All right. So it's these football gloves for youth. Now, what is this in? All right, so breathable fabric, quick dry. All right, let's do this real quick. So I'm assuming this is the right product. Football gloves. And this might just be a category thing. So what I was about to say, like include like your packaging, or maybe like a football in the background. Oh, there they included it. Okay. Do you actually get a football keychain with that one? Let's see if there's a keychain. Oh, it does include a keychain. Okay. So one thing nice about this one, which might be a little harder to do, they snuck in probably because some categories are a little harder. So if this is apparel, is it apparel? Where do we go? This is Amazon must view, even though it's sports and outdoors, Amazon must maybe have apparel guidelines because nobody is doing the image hacks that we talk about. We would suggest adding like a football of some sort, which they did. Now, one thing nice about this is because that's part of the actual product itself, they're getting away with including this little football keychain to let you know it's for football. Because the problem is, like, you look at these gloves and you don't know that they're for football. So it would be nice to see it. Now, one thing, like, you see, like this one here, like you can't just take pictures from the NFL, but you see how someone is like about to catch the ball. Someone who was on the football team in high school and didn't play a lot. I'll be fully transparent about that. I always say I was on the team, and play is a strong word to describe my high school football career, but I wasn't official for 10 years. I can tell you, especially nowadays, it's more of a fashion statement with a lot of kids, the gloves. But some of it is, they're wearing it to better hold the ball. So that's good there because they don't want to fumble it. They don't, because your hand gets sweaty and you don't want to, get the ball knocked out and cause a fumble. But they're catching it. I would probably include something about, catching passes. In fact, let's just see if you have the word catch. Better control when catching, throwing, or carrying the ball. This person even says it helps catch the ball better. So I maybe would even say, catch more balls, and maybe even have an image that shows that. The center might wear it, or the snapper is the official term in the rule book anyway. But I would say helping, like, that is a problem that people wear gloves. Receivers and people in positions that catch balls are more likely to wear gloves from what I have seen over the years. So I would say if you had somebody catching a ball, like a ball in midair and their hands, like this, like they're about to catch it, that would be a good lifestyle photo because that's one of the whole reasons people have, wear it. And then maybe even include the word grip somewhere, like you have grip here, but maybe include grip in your title. Enhanced performance and grip for youth and adult football. And then if you can somehow get a football in here, like whether it's part of the packaging or subtly, if you do another SKU, maybe if you can, even if it's kind of, a shadow of football, like incorporated into the design, that might help you. So that would be my suggestion. All right, now let's get to the next one. All right. Med says, I'm targeting single work names. For example, Olivia. I have multiple designs and each design has a separate campaign, same bids. Does the campaign interfere with each other? I would say no. Amazon's just going to allow the one that, like, I have some products that are in they're multiple versions, not even necessarily variations, multiple versions of the same product. And many of them have some of the same keywords over and over again. And whatever one works the best is what the algorithm is going to show. And what works the best is based on what people click on and people are more likely to buy. Now, if you're going after a term like Olivia, there's only so many Olivias out there. So don't expect to get a lot of sales. That's extremely niche. Now, granted, anyone that searches for like shirt for Olivia is probably very, very relevant to them that you have a shirt that says Olivia, but I would say that's going to be a harder one. I would go niche, but maybe a little more niche. Names are good, but people tend to look more for customization. I think when they go for names, but go more for interests and hobbies and things like that. If you're going to go after selling designs on merch by Amazon or whatever they call it these days. Is dayparting good for PPC or not? It can be. We have a few videos on this channel where we talk about dayparting. I would definitely go check some of those out. It's worth testing. I don't do in my own campaigns personally. I've not found that there's enough data in some of my campaigns to really worry about. But if you have high volume products, go ahead and test it out to see, if dayparting would be helpful to you. All right. So next up, Mark Francis says, I only have one SKU. How can I get on branded display ads? Oh, so display ads, you shouldn't have a problem. If you're talking about wanting to do let's go back to hot sauce. Sometimes there's the sponsored brands where you can put like 3 different products. Now you can see here, this is a good example. One of your competitors, they've just got one. They've got their video showing, which once upon a time videos didn't show at the top, but now they do. So that's a nice thing. Hot sauce for barbecue. Let's see if it shows up there. Oh, these people are owning it. This Yellowbird company. So my thought is, as long as you have brand registry, you should be fine to run sponsored brand placements. You can see they're at the top here. You won't have every placement because some of them you do have to have, multiple SKUs, but I tend to find those don't do as well because, people are more likely just to click on one of them just out of curiosity. Curiosity clicks tend to not work as well in marketing in general as ones that are highly targeted. Like, I'm looking for this. This appears to solve the problem at the price I'm okay with. Let's click on it. Okay, good. Let's buy it. So that's usually how people decide in my experience. All right. So then next up, Shafiq Didar says, hey, dear, nice to have you. I'm running PPCs. Oh, I think we already answered this one, but yeah, feel free to share your ASIN. We can take a look at it. Can you please check my brand name, Red World? We already did that. Oh, maybe I got out of order because I'm seeing some of the same questions. So, or maybe people are like, hey, didn't answer my question. So just be patient, folks. I tend to go pretty much in order. All right. Mikhail says, if any keyword is converting to sale sometimes, but sometimes not. So which bidding strategy is better for using dynamic up and down, up only? Or you mean down only, I assume. I wouldn't want to give them just up only, or fixed. So this is also a very controversial one. I tend to do down only because I'm like, if I'm bidding $1, but I can get there at 95 cents, then let them do it. Like, don't force them. But I also don't like giving them too much up and down control. Some people really like fixed bids. Now I know I'm at an agency. Some agencies do fixed bids. I know some of our folks do fixed bids. But if you're not running it full time, doing fixed bids, might be too much work. So I would say I personally prefer down only. Fixed bids is going to give you a little bit more control. Up and down, some people swear by it, like, oh, because Amazon's algorithm finds people that are more likely to purchase, and then they increase the bid for that person. I'm like, I bet they're just increasing the bids just in general. So I am usually too nervous to do up and down. I usually do down only. So I would suggest if you want more control, do fixed. Otherwise, do down only, is my personal opinion. All right. Next up, Chris548 says, how much should you budget for PPC per day? I spend about $100 a day. Okay. Good question. And like a lot of things in business and online, the word it or the phrase it depends is going to come into play. So, for example, let's just say you have $1 clicks and you have 10% of your clicks turn into sales. So, what does that mean? That means that it costs you $10 to get a sale. So 10% conversion rate means you have 10 clicks to get to a sale. Now, if you had an 8% conversion rate, it would take 12 clicks to get to a sale. If you had a 15% conversion rate, it would take you 6.5, 7 clicks. Let's just call it 7 clicks to get to a sale. If you had a 5% conversion rate, it takes you 20 clicks to get to a sale. But going back to my math of 10% conversion rate, 10 clicks to get to a sale. If they're $1 each, that means your cost per acquisition is $10. So if you're spending $100 and on average you're getting $10 per sale is what it costs you to get a sale. That means you would have 10 sales that day. So $100 divided by $10 per sale means 10 sales. So it depends on how many sales do you want and are they profitable. Now, I would say don't go crazy if you're at 70% ACOS and all of your sales are coming from ads. I wouldn't go too crazy with raising your budgets. And you might even want to look at, pruning your campaigns with some negative keywords, potentially lowering your bids, because you don't want to get just a bunch of sales and just spend a lot of money if it's not profitable. If it is profitable, increase the budget. One of the things that's different about Amazon relative to other platforms like Facebook or Google is with Facebook or Google, more so with Performance Max, which is like their version of auto campaigns. If you increase the budget, they'll just find more placements. They will just spend your money. You will spend. They'll be more than happy to take your money. With Amazon, because it's search based, if you go from spending $100 a day to your total between all your campaigns adds up to $200 a day, you might only go up to $130 a day and spend because maybe that's all people are searching for and that you're showing up and people are clicking on. So just because you increase your budget doesn't necessarily mean you will spend a lot more. Your budget, the way I like to look at it, is it's somewhat more of a guardrail, meaning it's preventing you from completely falling off a financial cliff. So when you say how much should you budget for PPC per day, it's, what is your conversion rate? How much per click, which is going to tell you how much it costs to get a sale. How many sales are you hoping to get profitably? Now, oftentimes, if you increase your budget, if you're running out of budget, you'll just spend later in the day. So if those are still good times for people to buy, then good for you. Go for it. But oftentimes increasing your budget doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get more placements. So if you're spending $100 a day and you've got $120 a day worth of budgets, maybe there might be a campaign or two that's running out of budget now that might spend a little more, but you might not spend anything else just because you add your more budget to your campaigns. So hopefully that helped. So for people who I rewarded a participation trophy to earlier, email podcast@myamazonguy.com and we will hook you up. Next up, Sova says, as soon as PPC is a topic, please advise the most cheap PPC strategy to be on page 1 in high saturated niche, sanding sponge. The product price is low, so I need to get PPC, and with the low PPC costs. Let's just for fun look at that. So if we are looking at sanding sponge. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, that's a low price point. Even the ones that are pretty big or higher price points, they seem to have like, a lot of them together. So this might not be a great product for paid ads. It could be hard. Now, one of the things just notice here is you don't have, and let me just refresh it just to be able to see. Yeah. Notice how there's not 4 across like there usually is. Like there's not 4 results across. So there's 1 sponsored, 2 sponsored, and then they go to an organic. So there's probably not a lot of competition, which is good because it is, this is, especially if you're selling for that low, there's no way. I don't even know how you'd make profit. Just with, it costs a certain amount of money just to even get in the door, so to speak. So unless you have people buying, like, contractors are buying this a lot and they're coming back over and over again, so you have a good lifetime value of a customer, I would say this is going to be a hard product to make work with paid advertising. Now, I always like to give something actionable. Is there something you can bundle together, with other things? So it's not just sponges, but like, what else do they need for sanding? Like, can you include sandpaper? Can you include other things? Because you want to get your price point up. Not a lot of people are doing it, but make sure to include some, images. Like this is use your packaging as a billboard is what I should say. Now, 3M, this is, I guarantee, the exact packaging you would see at like Home Depot or Lowe's, but maybe there's something you could include on there that, like, it's hard to see what that says there, but like, can you include something on even the side here? Like you have words like as if it said on the side, like, lasts longer, or long-lasting sanding sponge, or reusable sanding sponge block, drywall sanding sponge, whatever the primary keywords are, just to people would look at it like, oh, that's what I need. I need the drywall sanding sponge, whatever the case is. I would potentially put that in packaging in the image, as well as maybe on the sides here, just like how you've got 60, 80, 120, 220, which I guess is probably the gauge or grit, whatever they call it. So that would be my suggestion. That would probably help you, but this is going to be a tough one. And so you're going to have to be very targeted with what you're going after. Sanding sponge is probably going to be a harder keyword than, let's say, sanding sponge for electric sander for drywall, or drywall sanding sponge. Like you probably want to go after longer tail keywords. They're not going to get as much search, and it's not necessarily super high volume in any of those, but some of those can surprise you. And so I would go after some longer tail keywords and not just sanding sponge. Even though sanding sponge, you're probably going to think like, oh, but I can get a whole bunch of sales because there's a lot of search and a lot of people clicking. But if it's not profitable, there's no point in doing it. So I would say be careful going after the term sanding sponge as your primary keyword, if that's what you're going after. So that would be my other tip there. Let's go after longer tail keywords. All right. We've got time for, let's do one more here. So, all right. Shafiq Dadar, which I promised to reward participation. I'm going to go ahead and reward your participation as well. Shafiq, email podcast at myamazonguy.com and I will get you a free PPC course from Mag School. All right. So your product is come here /GP B0DJN VP NCX. Did I get that right? B0DJN VP NCX. So apparently I can't find it. So let me try Evanox. Stainless. Let's try Evanox cutting board. Sorry to be yelling with my letters, having all caps. Okay. So it's probably this one. So a couple things that are good is that you showcase the packaging. It's a cutting board. You showcase the things you could cut with it. It's very busy is the thing I would say. This is probably not within terms of service, but they're getting away with it. You may want to try like an action photo in the top where it's like it's actually cut. And maybe instead of showing kind of like raw fruit and vegetables and meat, I think that is, show them cut, like the after result. And then this, it's good to have a keyword in the product packaging, but like I can't see what that says. So I'm gonna put my glasses on. And I still can't see what it says. I mean, I kind of can, but I have to struggle. It's stainless steel cutting board. Because if you think about it, the contrast of yellow on kind of like light gray / silver is really hard to find, really hard to see. So you might almost be better just having like red background with white stainless steel cutting board. Because nobody cares that there's a picture of a cutting board when you literally have the actual cutting board in the main image. So our main image hack, the whole point of it is to have a main keyword in there, and then maybe even see if you could throw in like a couple of quick little bullet points that are maybe just like 2-3 words long, like scratch resistant, dishwasher safe, no slip, something like that. So you might want to add that on this packaging as opposed to having like a lifestyle photo. And if you're like, well, I already have that on there, no one is going to complain that the packaging doesn't 100% look like what was on the photo. There are countless examples of very high volume products that Amazon themselves are selling, which they've added keywords onto the product packaging, which aren't on the product itself. So as long as it helps the customer and isn't like trying to scam anybody or, deceive people and it looks professional, Amazon doesn't care. So in our experience, so I would take a look and see how are other people positioning cutting boards. I like that you're using, things that you can cut, but I would show more of like, diced celery or, chopped onions, something. So something that just looks nice and grabs your eye. I do like the red, especially in tomatoes. So maybe have tomato slices or a tomato slice or two. Like you don't need a lot, but just enough that it kind of grabs your eye. Because as you're scrolling through and you're going like this, okay, what grabs my eye? Oh, that one. Oh, they've got this stuff. You see, like they've only got like, one or two, like got a little, like 1 or 2 peppers, a cucumber, or another cucumber, green stuff, which I don't know if that's lettuce or something else. Or see here, like they've got it cut. So that would be my suggestion. Oh, and they show an example here in the corner of things on the cutting board. Like you may not actually get away with that, but I mean, look at this. Some of these people are getting away with like, here's 4 pictures in the main image of people cutting. It might be a bit much. I might only have like 1 image. See if you can sneak it in. These people did a pretty good job here. At least I like the look of how they put it on there. So you might want to put like a little wrap on your cutting boards, like going across like this. If I show a good example, my Amazon guy.com/CTR. I can't spell apparently. Let me just show this real quick. All right. So, this is the example I was looking for. So notice how here's baking sheets, which is very similar to cutting boards. It's just flat things, but like, what is it? So the people can tell very quickly. This is an example. cookie and baking sheets, 3-piece sets, and they've got the cookies there. So there's no ambiguity about what it is. And if it doesn't come and it doesn't have like a wrap that says that, no one's going to say you lied to me. They're going to say, is this the product I wanted and does it work? So that would be my suggestion. So hopefully this was helpful, folks. We didn't get to everyone's questions. The best thing you could do if you have more questions is join us again next week. I'll be joined by Bernard Nader, a guest expert in PPC, as well as if you're on our email list, we're hosting a PPC expert roundtable this Thursday at 1 p.m., which you can sign up for. And if you're like, but how do I get on your email list? Well, one of the best things you could do is in the corner there somewhere. You saw we had our PPC guide. So we had the little thing show up every so often. You might want to scroll back. There it goes. There it was. We'll fix that. It's very quick. So boom, you got to get that QR code quickly. But hopefully we have the link down below. I'll make sure our team adds the link down below for folks who are watching the replay. So grab that PPC guide. And then you could also sign up for our PPC Experts Roundtable this week. We'd love to have you there. We'll have Chris Rawlings from Sophie Society, as well as also have Elizabeth Green from Jungler. And so I know I didn't get to everyone's questions, but like I said at the beginning, ask your questions early because you're more likely to get your question answered. So with that, thank you, everybody, and have an awesome day. Take care.